Welcome to Regulation Drill for the Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard, Level 2, Block 4. By the end of this block of instruction, you will understand the mechanics of to-the-rear march, change step, flanks, and columns. The Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard technique incorporates a slight variation from the Army. To march to the rear, the command is to the rear march. The T of to is called as the left heel strikes the deck, with the word the directly after. The word rear comes on the next right heel strike. The next left requires a pause, and march is called on the following right heel. It can be performed marching in any direction, but never performed by color guard members. While maintaining your walking base, the end step is a half step of 15 inches. Turn on the platform of both feet and resume a normal 30-inch step. Do not lift up on your toes, allowing the heel only enough room to clear the marching surface. Swing your arms through the pivot. Do not allow them to swing outward from your body. The command is change step, march. It is given on 2 consecutive right heel strikes. We learn how to change step to ensure individuals know how to do it when they are out of step. It's also effective in parades if a formation just happens to step off incorrectly. All services decades ago used to skip to accomplish the move. No longer. That skip created a bounce, which we don't want. The right toe is brought alongside the left heel with a quicker cadence to change the step, as you can see here. If you are a musician, you will be able to better follow the example at left. The right toe comes alongside the left heel on the and of the first count. You can see here we count steps as 1, 2, 3, 4. Change step is 1 and 2, 3, 4. The first left step after the command of execution is count 1 in tempo, or on the beat. The extra count comes directly after at a quicker tempo or on the upbeat, and the left foot is brought forward again in tempo on the beat. To march to the flank, the command is by the right flank, march, called so that the command ends on the right foot. To go to the left flank, the command ends on the left foot. You square the pivot while your center of balance curves inside the pivot. Here, the dotted line represents your center of balance. It's in the center of your walking base and moves to slightly inside the curve center at the pivot point. If it is anywhere else during the pivot, you may lose your balance and step out of alignment. Notice that the first step into the new direction is the same length as all the others while maintaining the walking base. Swing your arms through the turn. When executing the move from a halt, use the face-in march technique of pivoting on the right foot platform and stepping off in either direction with the left foot. To march to the flank while keeping the squad leaders at the front of the formation, the command is column right march, called so that the command ends on the right foot. To go to the left, the command ends on the left foot. This is a follow the leader move where all members of each squad come to the same general area where the squad leader executed their pivot or pivots and follow suit. The inside squad leader executes a 90-degree pivot on the foot following the command of execution, takes 1 full step, and executes half step. The other squad leaders simultaneously execute a 45-degree pivot in the same direction, take numbered steps, shown here, another 45-degree pivot, and continue marching at a full step until each rank is aligned, at which point everyone steps off at a normal step. All steps at half step require the toe to strike first. When executing a column left, on the command of execution, the dress snaps to the left and upon the platoon stepping off at quick time, reverts to the right. When executing the column movement from a halt, the squad leaders perform the face-in march or half face-in march, depending on their position in either direction. The commander maintains a 3-step interval throughout the move. When executing a column movement in either direction, the guidon bearer executes the same movements as the base squad leader at the same time. This causes the guidon bearer to shift out of alignment that can be quickly taken care of by executing 2 pivots back into place as shown. Pivot once on each foot. The base squad leader can quietly give guidance to get the guide aligned using directions like right, left, and then steady if necessary. The commander maintains a 3-step interval throughout the move. The command is column half right, march, or column half left, march, called so that the command ends as the heel of the foot strikes the marching surface in the intended direction. Just as in the full column, everyone marches at a full step to catch up to the lead squad that is marching at half step and steps off together. The squad members march up to the point where the squad leader executed the flanking movement, and everyone executes that pivot, marching at a full step before and after the pivot. From the halt, the squad leader executes the face and march and pivots in the intended direction, and each squad member then executes a flanking movement at that same point. Countermarch is given for Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard color guards and marching bands, not platoons. If a platoon needs to turn around, the Marine Corps order states that the formation should execute several column movements. For cadets, when required in competition, you may need to know how to execute the Army countercolumn. The command is countercolumn march. It is given from the halt or on 2 consecutive right heels while marching. This move turns the platoon around and maintains everyone's position. As you can see here, first squad takes 3 steps and executes a column right and continues. Second and fourth squads take their steps and continue as well. We will focus on third squad in a moment. The numbers here are a mix of full and adjusted steps. As with the other column movements, everyone marches at a full step to catch up to the lead squad that is marching at half step. Once everyone is aligned, the formation steps off automatically at quick time. Whether the formation includes 3 or 4 squads, the numbers and movements are the same for each squad. Now let's take a look at third squad. In the platoon drill section of the training circular, the description for third squad for countermarch states, third squad executes 2 short column lefts from the halt and marches between the remainder of the third squad and the second squad. The only way this can be executed is to start from a halt twice, and that is essentially 2 left faces in marching, as I have drawn here at the right. We can back up this theory by looking back to the squad drill section and reading how to change the direction of a column. In paragraph A, it states, from the halt, the command to start the squad in motion and simultaneously change the direction of march 90 degrees is column right or left, march. On the command of execution, march, the squad leader faces to the right or left as in marching by pivoting to the right or left on the ball of the right foot and steps off in the indicated direction, taking a 30-inch step with the left foot and continues to march. For the counter column here, the first step to the left is going to be smaller than 30 inches to facilitate the squad marching between second and fourth squads. This is for the whole squad to execute, and if that is the case, it can be tricky for the rest of the squad members. The command is right oblique march, or left oblique march, called so that the command ends as the heel of the foot strikes the deck in the intended direction. While the proper pronunciation in English is oblique, the U.S. military uses oblique. An oblique is essentially a simultaneous half flank. Everyone pivots 45 degrees to march in that angle, either to the right or left. The oblique has some interesting requirements. The command in place halt halts the formation facing the oblique, and resume march resumes marching in the oblique direction. Calling platoon halt halts the formation in the original line of march. Execute the opposite oblique or call forward march to resume the original line of march. The Army, Air Force, and Space Force do not execute this move. In-place halt can be called on either foot since there is no directional transition to be made. Forward and halt must be called on specific feet, however, since there is a directional transition. Here is an example. Forward march and halt must be given on the inside foot. When marching at a right oblique, the left foot is the inside foot, and the right foot is the outside foot. The following right step, the outside foot, points in the original line of march, either to march or halt. When given half step or mark time while marching at an oblique, the only commands that may be given are resume march to continue marching with a 30-inch step in the oblique, or in-place halt. We covered the mechanics of to-the-rear march, flanks, columns, and obliques. I encourage you to practice and practice. This is a box drill that I developed to build foot and ankle muscles to help with balance while marching. It's good for an individual on their own, and even better for a team so that you must maintain dress and cover. Take normal steps for your service forward and backward as shown. 7 steps forward, 7 steps backward, 8 steps backward, and 7 steps forward. Try to make the corners as square as possible. For each flank you can execute a pivot or leave the trail foot in place and transition from one foot to another. To make this a bit more challenging, incorporate the same box in the other direction so that you march a square figure 8.